We hear this sound almost every single day, yet most of us stopped paying attention to it long ago. The screech of metal, the dull impact of heavy objects hitting steel, the deep roar of a powerful engine. To most people, it's just background noise from a garbage truck passing down the street, but inside that truck, something far more intense is happening every second. Hundreds of kilograms of waste are being crushed, compacted, and torn apart by mechanical forces powerful enough to rival an industrial press. And all of this is happening right in the middle of an ordinary neighborhood. The truth is, a garbage truck is far more than just a truck. It's actually a moving industrial machine, a mobile waste processing factory that performs brutal mechanical work while driving through city streets. And once you understand what's really happening inside it, you'll never look at a garbage truck the same way again. So if you enjoy discovering how powerful machines really work, stay with me until the end, because the engineering hidden inside this everyday vehicle is far more impressive than most people realize. The story of garbage trucks begins in the early 20th century. As cities expanded and populations exploded, one simple problem started growing out of control: waste. Horse-drawn carts and small transport trucks were no longer enough to keep streets clean. Mountains of trash piled up faster than workers could haul it away. Engineers quickly realized something important. The problem wasn't just transportation. The real problem was volume. Trash takes up enormous amounts of space even when it's lightweight. Cardboard boxes, plastic containers, food packaging, they fill entire trucks very quickly. So the solution was simple in theory, but complex in practice. Reduce the volume of the waste before transporting it. This idea led to the first primitive compaction systems, mechanical plates designed to crush trash inside the truck. Over the decades, those simple mechanisms evolved into sophisticated hydraulic systems capable of compressing waste to a fraction of its original size. Today, modern garbage trucks can reduce waste volume by 4 times, or even more, and that single improvement changed everything. Fewer trips, less fuel, lower operating costs, but none of it would be possible without the powerful engineering hidden inside the truck. At the heart of every garbage truck is the engine, but interestingly, the engine does not power the compactor directly. Instead, it uses a clever mechanical system called the power takeoff, or PTO. This device diverts part of the engine's power away from the wheels and redirects it to a hydraulic pump. That pump becomes the true muscle of the machine. If you've ever noticed that a garbage truck's engine suddenly revs louder when it stops to collect trash, that's not an accident. The truck's electronics intentionally increase the engine RPM to ensure the hydraulic pump produces enough pressure. And that pressure is enormous. Hydraulic oil is forced through heavy-duty hoses and control valves into powerful cylinders that move the compaction mechanisms. Inside those cylinders, pressure can reach thousands of pounds per square inch. At that point, the oil is no longer just a fluid. It becomes a powerful transmission of force, the lifeblood of the entire machine. Without it, the massive steel structure of the garbage truck would instantly become nothing more than dead weight. Now, let's look at what actually happens when trash enters the truck. At the rear of the vehicle is a large opening known as the hopper. This is where waste is dumped before being compacted. Once the hopper is full enough, the compaction cycle begins. A heavy steel plate, sometimes weighing several hundred kilograms, starts moving. First, it pulls the waste inward. Then it presses the material against a retention wall. Finally, it pushes everything deeper into the truck's body. This process repeats over and over again. With each cycle, the trash becomes denser, cardboard collapses, plastic bottles crumple, metal cans flatten, even bulky household waste begins to deform under the pressure. Over time, the loose garbage transforms into something completely different, a dense, tightly packed mass. Engineers design these systems carefully to ensure every cubic centimeter of space inside the truck is used efficiently. Because a garbage truck's success isn't measured by how fast it drives. It's measured by how much compacted waste it can carry in a single trip. But trash itself isn't the only challenge inside the truck. One of the most dangerous substances produced during waste compaction is something called leachate. Leachate is a dark, contaminated liquid created when organic waste breaks down and is compressed under pressure. It's essentially a chemical cocktail of water, acids, bacteria, salts, and decomposing material, and it is extremely corrosive. If ordinary steel were used inside the truck's body, it could begin deteriorating in just a few months. That's why garbage truck bodies are built with special wear-resistant steel and protective coatings. Drainage channels at the bottom of the truck collect the leachate and guide it into a separate storage tank. This tank can hold hundreds of liters of contaminated liquid, and it must be emptied at specialized treatment facilities. If that liquid leaks onto city streets, it becomes more than just unpleasant. It becomes an environmental violation. However, Chemicals are not the only danger hidden in household trash. Sometimes people throw away items that were never meant to be crushed: gas cylinders, aerosol cans, electronic devices, and increasingly, lithium-ion batteries. These batteries are one of the most dangerous objects a garbage truck can encounter. When crushed, they can enter a process called thermal runaway. This is a rapid chemical reaction that produces intense heat, flames, and sparks. Inside a truck filled with paper, plastic, and dry waste, that spark can ignite a fire almost instantly. Garbage truck fires are actually a growing problem in many cities around the world, all because of a small battery tossed into the wrong bin. There's also another serious risk, one involving human safety. The hydraulic compactor inside a garbage truck cannot distinguish between trash and anything else. To the machine, everything is simply an object being compressed. The force it produces is powerful enough to crush metal containers, so you can imagine what it could do to a human body. That's why modern garbage trucks include multiple safety systems. Emergency stop buttons are located around the loading area. The compaction mechanism usually requires continuous operator input. The moment the operator releases the control lever, the cycle stops immediately. Some trucks also use advanced technologies like light curtains and ultrasonic sensors. If these sensors detect a hand or body inside a dangerous zone, the hydraulic system shuts down almost instantly. These systems dramatically reduce accidents, but like all machines, they still rely on careful human operation. Eventually the truck becomes full. And that raises an interesting question. Why don't garbage trucks unload the same way dump trucks do, by simply lifting the body and letting the waste slide out? The answer comes down to physics. Compacted waste is extremely dense. If a garbage truck tilted its entire body while full, the center of gravity could shift dangerously. On uneven landfill terrain, the truck could easily tip over. So engineers designed a completely different unloading system. Inside the truck body is a movable wall called an ejector panel. This wall is connected to a powerful telescopic hydraulic cylinder. When the rear door opens, the ejector slowly pushes the entire mass of compacted waste out of the truck, like the plunger of a giant syringe. Throughout the process, all four wheels remain safely on the ground. Garbage truck designs also vary dramatically around the world. In countries like the United States and Australia, automated side loader trucks are very common. These trucks use robotic arms that grab standardized trash containers and empty them into the hopper. The driver can control everything with a joystick without leaving the cab. This system is extremely efficient for wide suburban streets, but it requires well-organized infrastructure. In many European cities and older urban environments, rear-loading trucks remain the most practical design. These require sanitation workers to manually load trash into the hopper. Although this method requires more labor, it provides flexibility in crowded streets and irregular neighborhoods. Operating a garbage truck is one of the toughest jobs for any vehicle in a city fleet. Unlike highway trucks that travel long distances at steady speeds, garbage trucks constantly stop and start, sometimes hundreds of times during a single route. The engine spends much of its time running at high RPM to power the hydraulic system. Brakes wear out quickly. Suspension systems take heavy punishment from curbs and uneven streets, and transmissions operate under extreme loads due to the power takeoff system. That's why garbage trucks are built with reinforced frames, heavy-duty braking systems, and specialized transmissions designed for constant urban work. Without these upgrades, a standard truck simply wouldn't survive the job. And all of this engineering comes at a price. A modern garbage truck is a serious investment. For example, one commonly used model in North America is the Peterbilt 520, equipped with a Heil refuse body. A basic version of this truck typically costs between $280,000 and $350,000. Fully equipped versions with advanced automation can exceed $400,000, and that's just the purchase price. Municipalities must also pay for fuel, maintenance, hydraulic repairs, tires, and replacement components. In stop-and-go urban operation, a garbage truck can consume between 45 and 60 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers. But despite these costs, garbage trucks remain economically essential because their true value lies in efficiency. The more waste they compact in a single shift, the fewer trips are required to the landfill, and that ultimately saves cities enormous amounts of money. The future of garbage trucks is already beginning to change. Electric garbage trucks are entering service in many cities. They are quieter, they produce zero emissions, and they dramatically reduce noise in residential neighborhoods during early morning collections. New safety technologies are also emerging. Advanced fire detection systems, pedestrian monitoring sensors, and intelligent compaction systems that automatically adjust pressure based on the type of waste being processed. One day, garbage trucks may even become partially autonomous, but no matter how advanced they become, their mission will remain the same: to quietly perform one of the most important and demanding jobs in any modern city. So the next time you hear the loud grinding sound of a garbage truck outside your home, remember what's really happening inside that machine. A powerful mobile factory, crushing, compressing, and processing tons of waste every single day, all to keep our cities clean. And now, I'm curious about your opinion. In the future, should garbage trucks focus more on environmental technology, like electric power and low emissions, or on maximum durability and raw mechanical power? Let me know what you think, because the answer might shape the machines that keep our cities running.